like 60 yards in the oak brush. I was like, Dad, do you want your hunt to be over? And he said, no, let's not end it. I don't know what my life would be without hunting. And I do think about that often. So I did grow up in California.
Okay.
I was born in Utah, and my family moved to Fremont, California. It's kind of around the Bay Area. And my dad was an iron worker. Okay. So back then, the 80s, 90s, right? All the boom for San Francisco and everything. So he went out there to chase work. But I was very involved in team sports out there and not hunting.
Okay.
And then when we moved to Utah, that's when I discovered, hunting and animals and wildlife. And I always just wonder, like, who would I be without hunting?
Did your dad do this too?
So my dad's from Fillmore. It's central Utah, small community. Grew up hunting to where, dude, I love my dad so much. Like, I have to remind people and tell people this story. Like, my dad grew up hunting to consume meat. Their family was poor. They had a lot of children. It seems to be like my grandma maybe bounced around relationships to some degree. So there was a lot of kids with different men. Yeah. And they hunted to sustain the family. And it was probably the year my dad turned 71. I always put in for him, as times have changed. It went from like getting your deer tag or your elk tag down at the gas station to, the electronic applications. So I've always taken that upon myself to apply for my dad. And I think we're on year 9 or 10 of putting in for Utah's big game elk hunt. Yeah. I always wanted him to have like a quality hunt because he typically just does cow or spike. Yeah. And he called me up when it was application season. He said, son, it's like $15 every year to put in for that dang, limited entry elk tag. And then if we draw it, it's $360. And I just like couldn't believe. He's like, don't put me in. I'm like, Dad, you're out of your mind. Like you're getting close to where you can draw. Yeah, but a spike tag's $35 down at, go to the office and get it over the counter. And plus the meat's better. Yeah. And so he had no desire to hunt a giant bull. Huh. He just wanted to hunt to fill the freezer. Wow. But I ended up putting in for him, and he drew out that year, and we went and had an amazing hunt. Yeah. And he got to see elk come in and come into the calls and bugle them in with decoys and kind of like you shared, before this podcast turned on, like we got to spend 9 days hunting elk, and he almost shot one in the first 20 minutes. And I looked at him, and it was the biggest bull we saw of the whole hunt. And I said, Dad, why this bull is bugling like 60 yards in the oak brush? I was like, Dad, do you want your hunt to be over? And he said, no, let's not end it. Ends up being the biggest bull we saw in the whole hunt. And then he killed on day 9. Wow. A smaller one. But yeah, it's just, there's so many people out there that they still hunt for meat. And yeah, it's fun to do it too. But, I feel like some people have lost that. They forget. I have to remind people of that story. Hey, there's guys like my dad who they don't even want a 6-point. They want a spike, Yep. No,
that's awesome. What was the highlight of that hunt with your dad? What did that mean to you and to him?
We got to share camp together. And, a lot of people assume that like I just grew up hunting with like my family, but I didn't. And I love my dad to death, but his lifestyle was different than mine. Mm-hmm. And when he'd go hunting out with his buddies, it turned into a party. Yeah. And, I don't drink, I don't party. And so here I am, young kid, I'm a go-getter. I want to hike over every mountain and they want to sleep in and, they were drinking and getting drunk at night. And unfortunately, because of that, I didn't hunt with my dad a lot. And he's made a lot of progress, and I'm so grateful. He's way healthier now. He's not living that lifestyle like he was. But that was, people would just assume I just hunt with my dad. But I don't. I never did because of the reason I just shared mostly. Right. And to have a hunt that was dedicated to us time, like not his guy friends, not drinking all night. And it was me and my brother and my dad. And so cool. We got to call in elk so close. He got to see elk bugle up close. And he's always seen my videos and he's always like heard them out there in the woods, but he's never got to experience. And I just remember he's like, son, you're pretty good at whistling those things in, that's pretty cool. Yeah, whistling them in. And just to share, I'm so thankful that he didn't shoot that first bull too, because I'm busy. We got other hunts. I got other tags to go hunt and film for Hush. And we got to spend 9 days on the mountain doing what I love, my favorite thing with my dad. That's just the
cool.
best. So everything from calling the elk to missing a couple elk, just to think that my dad like missed a couple shots that were just layups. I'm like, his buck fever must have been pretty serious. And the guy's killed a lot of wildlife, a lot of deer, handful of elk. So yeah, man, it was just the whole experience, being able to spend 9 days on the mountain together, awesome. Doing what we love, uninterrupted by anybody else, really.
And that's such a gift. I mean, it's so hard to find these days. So you even certain outdoor sports like skiing or mountain biking, you're gone for a few hours and you're back. You know? That's what I love about hunting. My church used to have this saying. It was like, family, it's about time. And I always say, like, hunting, it's about time. Like, I love it. It's about this time and attention out in the great outdoors, and you're enjoying God's creations and his creations that are greatest of all, us, and we get to enjoy that time together. And now with my dad having passed, and you got to meet my dad loved you. Cool. And I remember getting photos of you guys down in St. George or something. You ran into him at a little breakfast joint or something, but
a restaurant or something.
And it makes me hear stories like this and like, yes, please, those that are listening, take time with those you love, because you don't know that the day or the time when they might be called home, or it might be their last hunt, or whatever it is. So take the time, spend the time, enjoy the time. Don't take the first shot. It's okay if it's a shot on the last day, or you don't get a shot at all. If what really matters is those relationships, then spend it, So that's awesome. So growing up, you kind of just went out on your own with the camera then.
Yeah. I mean, my friends, I'm still great friends with my high school buddies, and they reminded me recently, like, yeah, you lived a double life. We didn't know where you went, like you were just gone. Eric just disappeared on the weekends. So as soon as I got my driver's license, I was solo hunting, camping, picking up sheds. Were your parents just good? Like, go do your thing, or like some parents would be scared, like, hey, you're out on the mountain. My parent, we had a Suzuki Samurai. Still my favorite car. When people ask, "What's your dream car?" I'm like, a stock original, hardtop Suzuki Samurai, and I almost bought one like a month ago. Yeah. But yeah, they were so relaxed. My parents were so relaxed. I never had the curfews that other kids had. I could sleep over at my friend's house. I think my parents really trusted me.
Trusted you.
I was never in trouble or anything. But yeah, when I came 16 years old and I had a driver's license, I could disappear for a few days, and I think they just be like, he'll show up when he's done, So yeah, they let me have all that freedom to go out and do what I liked.